Meeting called to order. Please stand for the salute to the flag, and Freeholder Owens, will you please lead us in the salute?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. I have before me certification from the clerk that this meeting is in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Beasley, absent. Freeholder Bobadilla, absent. Freeholder Clark, absent. Freeholder Gill.
Here.
Freeholder Johnson.
Here.
Freeholder Luciano, absent. Freeholder Owens.
Here.
Freeholder Vice President Sebo.
Here.
Freeholder President Watson.
Here. Madam Clerk, are there any transcripts to be approved?
Madam President, there are 5. Conference meeting, March 5th, 2014, March 19th, 2014, April 2nd, 2014, and board meetings, March 26th, 2014, and April 9th, 2014.
Freeholders, do you have any questions or comments on the transcript? Be it none, freeholders, do I have a motion and a second to approve the transcript? And it's moved by Vice President Sebo.
Second.
Second by Freeholder Owens. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Vice President Sebo. Yes. Freeholder Owens.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano, absent. Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Gill.
Yes.
Freeholder Clark, absent. Freeholder Bobadilla, absent. Freeholder Beasley, absent. President Watson.
Yes. Okay, let's move to the public comment session on agenda items. Madam Clerk, tonight's meeting is a combined conference board meeting, and we will be voting on every item on the agenda. So if there's anyone, member of the public, who would like to comment on any agenda item at this time, please come to the microphone, state your name, affiliation, and you have 3 minutes to speak. Okay, Madam Clerk, there's no one who would like to speak on the agenda items at this time. If there's any member of the public who would like to speak on any issue, please come to the microphone and state your name and affiliation, and you have 3 minutes to speak. And that's on any issue from the public. Okay, Madam Clerk, there's no one to speak, wishing to speak at this time, and for the record, Freeholder Bobadilla is present. Okay, Madam Clerk, are there any topics of discussion?
Madam President, there are none.
Okay, Madam Clerk, then let's move to the public hearing on ordinance number O-2014-00004. Please read it.
Public hearing on ordinance number O-2014-00004, ordinance naming the basketball courts at Essex County Glenview Park in Montclair as the Essex County Robert Hurt Basketball Courts in honor of the beloved basketball coach and Montclair resident.
Okay, I hereby declare the public hearing on the ordinance number O-2014-00004 open. If there is any member of the public who would like to comment for or against this ordinance, please come to the microphone, state your name, affiliation, and you have 3 minutes to speak. Okay, Madam Clerk, there's no one wishing to speak. Freeholders, do you have any questions or comments? No questions? Oh, Freeholder Gill.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to reiterate my comments before. I wanted to thank the administration for their quick response from the community in this naming, and as discussed, and I'm sure we'll do something at a later date in a more formal manner, but as many of the members of the board know, Coach Hurt was not only well known in Montclair, but he was well known throughout the county, both not only for his athletic ability, but also for the time that he spent mentoring many young people in this county. So thank you, and thank the administration.
Very good. Additional comments or questions, freeholders? If not, Freeholder Gill, would you like to move this resolution?
Yes, thank you, Madam President.
I'm sorry, the ordinance. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Freeholder Johnson. Do I have the same mover and second to approve the ordinance?
Yes.
Okay, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Beasley, absent. Freeholder Bobadilla. Yes. Freeholder Clark, absent. Freeholder Gill.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano, absent. Freeholder Owens.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Sebo.
Yes.
Freeholder President Watson.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, Madam Clerk, the public hearing on ordinance number O-2014-0005, please read it.
Ordinance, public hearing ordinance on number O-2014-00005, bond ordinance providing for the improvement of the Essex County Vocational School in and by the County of Essex, New Jersey, appropriating $500,000, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $500,000 bond or notes of the county for financing such appropriation.
Okay, I hereby declare the public hearing on ordinance number O-2014-00005 open. If there is any member of the public who would like to comment for or against this ordinance, please come to the microphone, state your name, affiliation, and you have 3 minutes to speak. Okay, Mr. Polyvecchio, do you have any questions or comments?
I don't have any questions. This is a $500,000 bond authorization for various improvements at the different vocational school buildings. That would be it. It was discussed when it was on first reading back in April.
Okay, Mr. McInerney?
Just to reiterate what Mr. Polyvecchio said, nothing more.
Very good. Freeholders, do you have any questions or comments? No questions or comments. Freeholders, do I have a motion and a second to close the public hearing? And it's moved by Freeholder Vice President Sebo. Do I have a second? A second?
I'll second.
Second by Freeholder Johnson. Okay, Freeholders, do I have a motion and a second? I have a motion and a second to close. Do I have the same mover and second to approve?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Vice President Sebo.
Yes.
Freeholder Owens.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano, absent. Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Gill.
Yes.
Freeholder Clark, absent. Freeholder Bobadilla.
Yes.
Freeholder Beasley, absent. Freeholder President Watson.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, Madam Clerk, would you read the introduction of ordinance number 1?
Okay. Introduction of ordinance number 1. Ordinance naming the Concourse Hill Welcome Center in Essex County, Branchbrook Park as the Barbara Bell Coleman Concourse Hill Welcome Center at Essex County, Branchbrook Park in honor of Barbara Bell Coleman, co-chair of the Branchbrook Park Alliance.
Mr. Sheller?
Yes, Madam President, thank you. This board probably needs no introduction of Ms. Barbara Bell, but just as a overall view, Ms. Bell served as the co-founder and co-president of the Branchbrook Park Alliance. Ms. Bell was instrumental in raising $50 million that was utilized to revitalize our Essex County Branchbrook Park and Westside Park. The naming of the new visitor center is the fitting and lasting tribute to someone who has given so much of her time, her passion, her energy, and her commitment to preserving our beautiful Essex County Park system.
Okay, Mr. Polyvecchio, questions or comments?
No, I don't.
Freeholders, do you have any questions or comments? Freeholder Bobadilla?
Thank you. I just want to reiterate what the administrator said. I mean, Barbara Bell Coleman has just been an outstanding steward of our park, and if it wasn't for her, it wouldn't look the way, and we would not have the quality that it's bringing into people's lives as far as the progressiveness of where the park has come from and the renovations that have been taking place. So I just want to say, I just want to reiterate that.
Okay, I concur with both remarks. Vice President Sebo?
Thank you very much, and I would like to reiterate what Freeholder Bobadilla said. And I've known Barbara Bell Coleman for many, many years, and she has been so active in the Branchbrook Park and the Branchbrook Park Alliance. And much of what exists at Branchville Park, she is responsible for. So I think this is a wonderful idea that this Welcome Center is going to be named after her. I think this is just very fitting for someone as terrific as Barbara Bell Coleman.
Okay, freeholders, do you have any additional questions? Additional questions? None? Do I have a motion and a second to introduce ordinance number 1?
I'll move it.
Moved by Freeholder Vice President
I'll
Seabold and second by Freeholder Bobadilla. Roll call, Madam Clerk?
Freeholder Beasley, absent. Freeholder Bobadilla.
Yes.
Freeholder Clark, absent. Freeholder Gill.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano, absent. Freeholder Owens.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Seabold.
Yes.
Freeholder President Watson.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, Madam Clerk, let's move to the introduction of ordinance number 2. Please
Ordinance,
read it.
ordinance number 2, bond ordinance providing for construction of a parking garage at South Mountain Recreation Complex by the County of Essex, New Jersey, appropriating $11 million therefore and authorizing the issuance of $10,475,000 bond or notes of the county for financing such appropriation.
Okay, Mr. Sheller?
Yes, Madam President, as you know, the administration has been conducting work sessions with the Freeholder Board regarding the new parking deck at South Mountain Reservation Complex. This puts the funding mechanism in place. The way it breaks down is roughly $7.5 million, which will be coming out of the county's 2015 capital that will come off the $20 million, and the remaining $3.5 million is through the ECIA pooled government loan program, roughly $3.5 million. This is the financing that would be put in place once the board so sees fit as to move on this funding. Then we will come back to this board with an actual contract to construct this deck, and it's the administration's hope and desire that we can get this deck ordered as well as ready for operation May 1st of next year.
Okay, before we ask Mr. Polyvecchio or Mr. McInerney comments, for the record, Madam Clerk, Freeholder Clark is present. Okay, Mr. Polyvecchio, do you have any questions or comments?
Just a couple of follow-up questions, Mr. Chilella. During the leadership meeting, you mentioned that this is really being taken from the 15 budget, or the 15 allotment or self-imposed limit that the county has put on bonding. So could you, that was one thing I wanted you to explain. Another thing, in terms of the project itself, is it a PLA? Is it a project labor agreement?
Through you, Madam President, the last question, yes, this is a PLA project. The administration has already notified the State Controller's Office. In addition to that, this fronting of 2015 capital in 14 is similar to what we did last year for our Public Works building and in years previous for the converted Newark Jail into the office towers. This money, although we are authorizing it, probably the majority of it will not be spent until the year 2015. And primarily the reason why the administration is coming to advance or get the okay to advance the approval process is to construct the material to construct the deck. The fabrication of the guts of the actual deck takes 6 months of fabrication. So if there's any way for us to not disturb the busiest time at the zoo to construct the deck, would be to construct it in the winter months. January, February, March, and April would be the optimum time that a deck would be constructed at that site. So the authorization is to give us the okay. The actual funding will actually come off of next year's $20 million cap limit.
Yes, continue.
So while it's an authorization now, it's really a 15 project based on when, although off-site construction or off-site assembly of the garage will take place now, it won't be on site, it won't be, the work won't be done until maybe late 14, early 15.
The actual
Assembly of
material
it,
will
yeah.
take, we're told, 6 months to fabricate.
Okay.
So from date of award by this body, 6 months from that date is when the fabricated, or the material will be on site.
Thank you.
Mr. McInerney?
Thank you, Madam President. The real issue here is the need, whether or not there's a need. I think it's been established that the activities that are generated at South Mountain Reservation area warrant the need for a new parking deck. Presently, automobiles and buses are being parked at other locations. I've seen it where cars are actually being parked on the fields across from McLuhan's on the Cherry Lane side. So there is a need here because of the expansion of that area as a destination, as a recreational destination. There's definitely a need to create this new facility. I had a meeting about 2 weeks ago with the administration. Mr. Cielo was there, Dan Salvanti was there, the engineers were there, Mark Acker was there, and County Council, and we went through this. Mr. Cielo knows better than me. At this point, there's like 375, I believe, net new parking spaces, because you're losing some parking spaces based on the area that the parking deck would be put on is parking spaces at this point in time. But there's a net of 375. And if I'm not mistaken, this is being built exclusively for the need for the recreational purposes. In other words, we don't need it for the traffic that goes in and out on a daily basis for residents and non-residents who park their cars at the other facility and take buses into the city of New York. This is strictly for the need for the recreational facilities. It approximates the cost of the other parking deck. It's a little higher in cost. The other parking deck was about $8 million. This one is $11 million. $3.5 million is coming through the Pool Government Loan Program of the ECIA, and it'll be paid with a variable rate that my understanding is below 2%. And I think we said that that's going to run out about 10 years. I would hope that if revenues allow, that we can pay that off even a little sooner. We've had that discussion at that last meeting I just made mention of. The $7.5 million is coming out of our general capital budget. It'll be funds that'll have to be appropriated through our debt service appropriations in our annual operating budget. That'll be at market rate, but nonetheless, if the facility up there is going to continue to grow and continue to generate revenues, and not just generate revenues. It's been a tremendous opportunity for people to go there and not have to spend a lot of money at times. The Orange Reservoir is a great example of that. But this is a much-needed project. It's been brought before the board, I believe, before in terms of talking about the facility itself, and I think it's well worth the money spent.
Very good. Freeholder Vice President Seabold.
Yes, thank you very much. And just adding on to what Mr. McInerney said, we did discuss this at the Open Space Trust Fund Advisory Board, and just this past weekend was a perfect example of why we need more space for cars at South Mountain Reservation. At the Susan Komen March and Walk on Sunday, there were approximately 6,000 people, and they had to run shuttle buses from the Livingston Mall to go to South Mountain Reservation because there just isn't enough parking there. And I was also at the press conference where we had the bridge which is going over the Orange Reservoir, and there were so many people there while we were there at the press conference because there's a 2-mile walk now around the reservoir, and people were coming in, they were wheeling carriages, they were walking, they were running. They had dogs on leashes. People just kept coming and coming and coming. And more people are coming to the South Mountain Reservation. We need this space desperately, and I'm very happy we're going to be authorizing to build this garage, which we need so badly.
Additional comments, freeholders? Just briefly, I think a lot of our questions we asked during the work session, and most of our questions, they were answered by the administration at the work sessions, and I think the work session was good because it gave us an opportunity to vet and really go understand why the need to appropriate the $11 million for the bond is necessary. So let me again thank the freeholders for attending the workshop sessions, because it did give us an opportunity to really understand why we're doing this, and I want to thank our finance advisor because he was definitely on top of this, and I appreciate that. Freeholder Clark.
Thank you, Madam President. The
They
session,
say, would you just speak a little more into the mic?
yes, ma'am.
Thank
Better?
you. That's much better.
The
Thank
session
you.
was actually really informative, but more so than that, I think just from an awareness standpoint and from a fiduciary standpoint, because that's the thing that I guess I am more of a stickler for. Those members of the board who will be here next year, because we will not, even though we're voting on something now that's going to impact next year. So that's important, I think, that's an important point for us to make clear, that we're voting on something that's going to impact next year, which means that next year the board is going to only have, I think it's 12.5 million in capital to spend. So they're not going to be able to go up to the customary 20, because some of it is already being encumbered ostensibly now for next year. But that is to take advantage, as I understood it, Mr. Chilella and Mr. McInerney, as I understood it, is to take advantage of a number of different factors as it relates to A, the financing of it, and B, the timeliness of getting it done. So that's why I'm voting in the affirmative for it, not to handcuff incoming freeholders, but because it's prudent and it just makes sense the way that it was laid out for us. But unfortunately, you will be left with a shorter or less money to spend on capital projects next year.
Additional comments, freeholders? I just want to ask a question just for clarity for the record. We did that last year into the 2013 budget, did we not?
Through you, Madam President, yes. In fact, it was the same amount, $7.5 million that this board had pre-authorized in the 13 year for 14 out of the 14 capital budget. So that is correct. In 14, we had 12.5 million utilized for various countywide public works projects.
Okay, and then for Mr. McInerney, and we stayed exactly within the numbers that we agreed to state, the administration rather, did not go over that number, even though we borrowed money the prior year to, against the bond issue. Am I correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So we are not doing anything different this year than we did last year?
Well, even last year, we probably spent most of the money in 14, even though we said we were going to advance it to 14. I think a lot of it was, I think when we authorize it is when we encumber it. So it's almost, from a booking standpoint on our books, when we authorize something, it's as if we spent it. We have to relegate those funds for whatever the authorization is. The other thing is when it's actually spent, when you have to go out and start going out for bands and short-term notes to finance those payments. And typically what's been happening is, even though we've been authorizing some of these large capital expenditures on what we might call premature basis, the expenditures are in the year that they're relegated to in terms of the $20 million budget.
Okay. So I think I'm clear now that we're not doing something, and most of the freeholders will be here with the exception of three of us. So those that's voting on it understand what we're doing, because you're going to be here next year. We're not doing anything different this year. going into next year with the other freeholders coming in.
Right. And if I, Madam President, if I can make one other point, if I may.
Yes, please.
The $20 million is not something relegated by state statute. It's not something in the purchasing laws. This is a self-imposed $20 million.
Absolutely.
This is something the county imposes on itself. There's nothing that holds us to it legally. It's just a mechanism by which we try to control our spending on a capital basis. So it's even if we do at times go out prematurely on it, it's not anything in violation of any law or any purchasing law. It's just a self-imposed restriction.
And it's something to sort of keep us in line.
Keep us in line, yes.
So that we don't
and we've been doing
overspend.
very well with it.
Okay, Freeholder Owens?
Yeah, to Brother McLean, is this money held like the actual money put aside for this project that's not touched, so that therefore the money is somewhere gaining interest, or is that the way it works?
No, it's not. Let me explain. What will happen is, this money, what will happen is, there's a capital budget, and on a monthly basis, so we determine the amount of money we're going to expend on this project, as well as maybe a half a dozen other projects that we have going. And on that basis, we'll need so much money to fund the expenditures required for all these projects, including this one. And that's the money that we need, and we typically will go out for notes, short-term notes, bonds, bond anticipation notes. And that money will be borrowed on an interim basis on all these projects. And then as that band amount builds up, typically we will then go out for long-term bonds. So no money is held in abeyance earning interest. We're only borrowing what we need to expend for those projects that we need to expend for in maybe a monthly or quarterly period of time. So we're not going out and borrowing $11 million and sticking it in the bank. We're only borrowing we won't borrow any money until, let's say, the first installment on the prefabrication is required. If that's $2 million, then we'll only borrow $2 million. And then we'll expend the $2 million on that contract. And then the following month, we need another $2 million. We'll borrow that $2 million that month. So it's not going out for the whole amount and then holding it in the bank. It's only borrowing as you need it, along with all the other projects.
Okay, Freeholders, do I have a motion and second then to introduce ordinance number 2?
I will move it.
Moved by Freeholder Vice President Sebo. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Freeholder Johnson. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Vice President Sebo?
Yes.
Freeholder Owens?
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano, absent. Freeholder Johnson?
Yes.
Freeholder Gill?
Yes.
Freeholder Clark?
Yes.
Freeholder Bobadilla?
Yes.
Freeholder Beasley, absent. Freeholder President Watson?
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, let's go to Resolution 1. Madam Clerk, will you please read the resolution?
Resolution 1, Department of Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs, contract award to GPS Properties LLC, the lowest responsive and responsible bidder to provide masonry work, a 24-month contract, amount not to exceed $563,489.
Okay, Mr. Sheila?
Yes, Madam President. We did receive 5 bids from 35 potential vendors. This will be coming out of the Parks operating budget. This is an open-ended, as-needed project for various maintenance repair projects within the Essex County Park system.
Okay, Mr. McInerney?
I don't have any questions.
No questions?
No, ma'am.
Freeholders, questions, comments?
Madam President?
Freeholder Johnson?
Yes, through you, Madam President. Ralph, is this for like that wall in Montclair, the park in Montclair, the wall that they're talking about that looks like it's about to fall in around the walkway coming in? I think Freeholder Gill was talking about this a while back, about how it looks like it's leaning.
Through you, Madam President, if it's for repairs, yes. If it's for a specific project, then it would not be. But if it's for repairs of projects within the park system, yes.
Okay, because I see the concrete work, and I noticed
Yes.
that was concrete. 'Cause I went and took a peek at it myself after I heard about it. Okay. But that should be something that should be on that list too, with the concrete work being done. Thank you, Madam
Oh,
President.
yes. Excuse me. Mr. Sheila, the question was, did we add the wall that Freeholder Johnson just mentioned? Is that a part of this 24-month contract?
Through you, Madam President, I'll have to check with Mrs. Salvanti if that is on this list to be repaired under this project, or if that falls under another capital project. I will check.
Because normally we have a list of the item of places that we would